So this is a very important topic actually. See, basically, this topic summarizes the entire philosophy of Krishna consciousness, I would say. And the essence of Krishna consciousness is in the today's topic discussion. So there are a few important aspects, which actually we have to understand. Like how do we relate to the philosophy, right? What are the different aspects of the philosophy, etc. Right? So this is a very important topic, a very profound topic actually, in the sense this is like the crux of the entire philosophy. Okay, so like basically there are three important things, right? And Krishna consciousness. Anybody remembers what it is? Actually, there are many trios are maybe there, but in this context of the philosophy, right, there are three important aspects that we have to understand, in fundamental things. Anybody remember what are they?
Prabhuji, like what do you mean, like Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan, the three aspects, isn't it?
Yep. So that is today's topic. But on a broader sense, right, there are three important things much beyond this. So it is not
Three are
mentioned in.
the energy or the jiva. You are mean like jiva and the human and living entities and Paramatma, like that. Not Prabhuji?
Jiva and living entity are same.
Jiva and the Prakriti, jiva.
Ishvara, Prakriti, and Jiva. Yeah,
Ishvara,
that is also there. But what I'm looking is something different actually. So from a very high level perspective, there are three things that actually is Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana. Right? You remember what are they? Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana. What are the three? What are they? Anybody remember? You can just try. We have discussed, I think, many times earlier. No? What is Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana?
I think this deals with how we progress in our Krishna consciousness, no, Prabhuji?
This can be a basis of on how we progress in Krishna consciousness.
Okay.
But the word, if you know Sanskrit, also you can try to guess now what is Sambandha, what is Prayojana.
Yeah. Prayojana is the process. No, Prayojana is the ultimate thing. I think Abhidaya is the process.
Yes.
And Sambandha is the initial, Sambandh relationship.
Sambandha is relationship. Yes, that's what actually it is. So Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana, right? So Sambandha actually is to understand the relationship between who?
The Lord and us, no, Prabhuji?
Yes. So the living entity and the Supreme Lord, right? Jivatma and Paramatma. So what is the relationship between the Jivatma and Paramatma? So that is the Sambandha Gyan, right? then we should understand what is a Prayojana. So Prayojana is the ultimate benefit, right? In Kannada also we say what's Prayojana. In many languages it is it's a Sanskrit word. It means what is the use, what is the benefit, right? Or what is the ultimate benefit that I will get. So Prayojana is the ultimate goal that one has to achieve, right? And then so basically when you know that there is some ultimate goal to be achieved, then there should be a process to achieve it, right? So that is the Abhidaya, the process of how to achieve it. So what are the values actually? So these are the very basic things in the sense, this is just the crux of it. But each of these topics can be expanded into volumes of books actually. So, but necessarily these are the fundamental things, right? So what is Prayojana? What is the ultimate benefit that we can get?
Krishna Prema.
Yes, love of Godhead, right? The supreme goal is love of Godhead. So that is the ultimate goal. And what is the process?
Devotional service, Prabhuji.
Yes. So devotional service is the process by which we can Krishna Prema. So if you want to attain Krishna Prema, there is no other process. Bhakti is the only process actually. Bhaktya Swananya, right? And Bhaktya Mama Abhijanadi. Like that, there are many ways actually. So besides devotional Bhakti, without Bhakti, we cannot attain Krishna Prema. Or highest, love of God, it is not possible. But there are many processes by which you can attain liberation, right? But to attain unallowed devotional service, pure love of God, it actually unallowed devotional service is the only process, right? And Sambandha, actually, we know, right? What is the Sambandha? What is the relationship between Jivatma and Paramatma?
Servants of Lord.
Yes.
We are the eternal servants.
Yeah. Jivera Swarup Krishna and Jitas, right? That's the relationship. So living entity, the Jivatma is eternally serving the Supreme Lord. And there are different ways of saying, no, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So different ways of understanding. Right? But essentially, this is actually, so these are the three fundamental things, of the three knowledge aspects of knowledge in the process of devotion. So, right, Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana. So now if you go in the topic today, there are many important aspects which are discussed. So one actually is this, no, like what is the difference between Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, right? So this is about the ultimate goal, right? Supreme Lord. What are the different aspects of the absolute truth? That actually is one topic, right? Which is explained philosophical perspective. Then actually some details about the supreme absolute truth is defined in terms of their qualities, right? What is the nature of the Supreme Lord? Then what is the constitutional position of living entity, which is described here in this paragraph. Then I know it is also talking about the different energies of the Lord, right? So this is another important topic of, in the philosophy, that the Lord's energies are unlimited, and then there are three primary energies, right, which we've seen many times. What are they actually? They are external energy, internal energy, and marginal energy, right? So Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, and Tadastha Shakti. So then actually what is the, yeah, so further in this next paragraph, more details about how the living entity is coming. So the living entity actually is the superior energy of the Lord, is a spiritual energy actually, is an internal potency actually. But when they are in the material world, they are in the marginal. They are because when they become influenced by the inferior material energy, then the living entity becomes marginalized, or it's known as the Tadastha Shakti. So this Tadastha Shakti is only a temporary state of the living entity. The eternal state of the living entity is what? What is the eternal state of the living entity? Is it are they Tadastha
It's
Shaktis?
no, Prabhuji, a part of the superior energy of the Lord, no?
Yes. So living entities are actually spiritual energy, but when they become subjected to the material nature, right, then they become marginalized. So it becomes marginal potency. So as long as the living entity is under the influence of material energy, it is called marginal energy, right? And the external energy, it becomes under the control of the external energy, right? So basically there are three, right? Fundamentally there are only two, right? That is external and internal, that's all. So internal is the spiritual potency, and external is the material energy, right? And the living entities actually are also part of the inferior internal energy, or spiritual potency. But when they come to the material world, they are subject to the inferior material energy, and in this condition we are known as a conditioned soul, right? We call the conditioned soul, and then they are known as the Tadastha Shakti or marginal potency. That's how actually. I don't want to go into further detail, but I think we'll discuss in more detail when we go. So I just want to have a quick look about what are the different aspects, from a high level perspective. Then the example of Jivatma and Paramatma with the analogy of the two birds sitting on a tree is given, right? Then yeah, and then the last paragraph, I think yeah, I think Prabhupada is talking about, this little bit about clarifying about this Mayavada understanding, is wrong. That the living entity is emphasizing that the living entity is always inferior. I mean to say, no, to the Supreme Lord. If you consider the Supreme Paramatma, the Jivatma will never become superior or equal to or greater than. No? It can never become equal to or greater than Supreme Lord. So these are the high level topics, right, in this today's this day. But I think it touches upon the most cornerstones, of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So it's very important. I think most of us know most of the things, but it's very important that we understand it in properly, so that we can, when if we are preaching for our understanding also it is important, and also when we preach to others also this is very important to know these fundamentals. Okay, so we can start now. So I think we can go paragraph by paragraph. Somebody can explain the first paragraph, and then others can add points to that. Who would like to start? Maybe
Prabhuji,
Satyam Mataji. Hmm?
I'll try, Prabhuji.
Okay, sure.
Uh, absolute truth is three. That is Atma, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. The basic one, the beginning is, though they are interconnected, they are all interconnected, but they are progressive in nature. So, for an example, they've given the example of the sun. We get the heat from the sun, that is Brahman. So, there are three aspects: the sunlight, the sun, and the sun god. The sunlight is compared to the Brahman, the basic. But further, if you go deeper, where does it come from? It comes from the sun, that is the Paramatma. And above that, there is the sun god, which is Bhagwan. That is what is written in the first chapter, Prabhuji.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think so.
One
This,
small correction. So no, the absolute truth is not three. So absolute truth is one. Okay, because if it is called absolute truth, it can be only one. No? So the
three
absolute truth is,
faces. Yeah,
yeah.
three faces.
Basically, there are three levels or three ways you
Yes.
can understand absolute truth, or
Yes,
three levels of
Prabhuji.
understanding the same. There is one absolute truth, which actually which actually like the sun god, which actually is reflected in different ways. Like basically different people understand the same absolute truth in different ways, right? So the three understanding are Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Yes, Mataji, that's correct. So the first two paragraphs you covered, Mataji. The first is a small paragraph, I think. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yes, Prabhuji. So
Okay. So
those who are the actual bhaktas, they are the highest level. They realized Bhagwan as the absolute truth. Those who are little less knowledgeable, they are in the Paramatma level, and less than that is the Brahman level.
yes. Yeah. So good, Mataji. Thanks. So I would like everybody to please add some points, or no, if they have some questions, please ask actually. So to clarify regarding these two paragraphs. Everything is perfectly understood, or there are some questions, or somebody wants to add some more points to clarify. Everybody can add something. Maybe,
Uh,
yeah. Yes.
so
Yes.
Prabhuji, in the fourth line of the second paragraph, now 1, 2, 3, 4, the ordinary student who ordinary students are satisfied by simply understanding the sunshine, its universal pervasiveness, and the glaring effulgence of its impersonal nature. So this is the impersonal feature, no, Prabhuji, those who realize
Yes.
only the Brahman feature of the absolute truth, correct?
Yes. Yes, Mataji, exactly.
Okay. So that means it is the impersonalists, is it, who come here
Come here means?
in this aspect when we
Yes,
talk
yes.
about the Brahman feature
Yes,
here, no?
Mataji. Exactly, yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yep. So the impersonal nature. So basically, the supreme absolute truth, we understand that it's a person, right?
Yes.
Because we have many codes, like the mainly Brahma Samhita, like saying Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So basically, see, always there have been two fundamental schools of thought, right, with respect to the philosophy or Vedanta philosophy. The one school is called a impersonalist, and other is called a personalist. Right, the impersonalist has the view that the absolute supreme absolute truth is impersonal. It's not a person, right? Impersonal means not a person, right? It is actually only an energy. It is nirakar. It's just an energy or effulgence. Right? The supreme, the light, the Brahmajyoti, right? They actually think that the supreme absolute truth is no, it doesn't have a form. It is not a person and is energy or light. But the other school of thought is the personal school of thought, right? Which actually says that supreme absolute truth is a person, right? So which part we belong?
The person.
Yes. So basically, see, the absolute truth cannot be relative. No? Then it is not an absolute truth. Absolute truth is absolute means there is no two ways of looking at it. Actually, it's only one. I mean, there's only one way of understanding absolute truth. Though people perceive in different ways, there can only be one reality actually, right? So that means that naturally either impersonal should be right or personal should be right, but both cannot be right actually completely. But they both can be right partially in the sense. That's what actually is a Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, right? We have different philosophies, like Advaita philosophy, Dvaita Vishishta Dvaita, Dvaitavad, no? And then actually this is Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, right? That is propounded by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in that Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, what actually is saying that it's simultaneously one and different. Okay, so basically there are two ways actually. See that it is not wrong because the impersonalist understanding is not completely wrong. No, it is a partial understanding. That's what actually in this paragraph it is explained, right? So if somebody says that somebody says that the sun actually the sunlight actually is sun. No, we cannot completely say that it is wrong actually because sunlight actually has the sunlight is also one of the ways of understanding the sun, right? And sunlight represent the sun. It actually has the properties. By analyzing the sunlight we can understand the sun. The scientists do that, right? By studying the sunlight we can find the composition of the sun planet, for example, and then it is a representation of the sun. So that is, it is not completely wrong, but it is not complete understanding, it's only partial understanding. So that way, that is how actually the philosophy is understood here, right? So but ultimately, that Prabhupada always give the example that whenever there is an energy, the energy cannot be independent actually. The energy should be belonging to an energetic. There should be a source of energy. right? And an energy cannot exist by itself. For every energy, there should be a source from which the energy is coming. So the source actually is the Supreme Personality of God or the Brahman. Sorry, Bhagavan. Bhagavan is a source. Just like the example, no, the electricity is an energy which actually can be manifested in various places, right? Sometimes the energy, electric energy, can appear as light. Sometimes it can appear as heat. Sometimes it can appear as cold also. But ultimately, this electrical energy is produced in an electric powerhouse. So, and then the powerhouse as an engineer also, right? The powerhouse will not come automatically. It will not just sprung up like from the thin air. There has to be a engineer who has designed and constructed and who is operating the powerhouse. So similarly, these are the three equivalents, right? The electrical energy can be considered as the Brahman, the powerhouse can be considered as the Paramatma, and the engineer actually is behind is actually the Bhagavan. So similarly, sun is also the same example, right? Sun is a source of energy. So the impersonalist or the material scientists think that sun and sunlight, that's it. There's nothing beyond. Sun is just a material existence. No, it's a physical composition of various gases, and by virtue of which, it's like a powerhouse, you can say, no, the biggest powerhouse, which actually by some chemical combinations or a nuclear fission, it can produce the energy, right? And then that energy we are receiving, but that is only partial, right? Beyond the sun planet, actually there is a person who is controlling the sun planet actually, right? Or is superintendent of the sun planet, who is the sun god, because no powerhouse can operate without a person or an intelligence. So basically, so that is the three levels: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Okay, so now, yeah, any more questions are there? So Nivedha Mataji, would you like to add something?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you have covered, no Prabhuji, you have covered everything.
Okay, anybody else? Chetan Prabhu, would you like to add anything? This is fully clear to everyone. Okay, one more thing is that yeah, what no Sati Mataji asked, right? So the Brahman, so Brahman, people who think Brahman is everything, they are known as Brahmavadis. No, that is one of the ways of calling them, or they are actually also the impersonalists, right? Impersonalists also are like even Shankaracharya, the followers of Shankara, they are all actually impersonalists. They think that no, the supreme absolute truth is no, is Brahman, is the light. Okay, but we understand that the light, Brahman, Brahmajyoti is actually the light which emanates from the body of the Supreme Lord or the spiritual planet. The effulgence which comes from the spiritual planet is Brahman. So that it is a source, right? So that is a right understanding. Okay, so Brahmavadis are actually impersonalist. Then Paramatma, right? Who are the people who are seeking the Paramatma?
Yogis, no Prabhuji.
Yes,
Paramatma.
yes. Yogis actually, right? So Brahmavadis are generally Jnanis. Generally, no, we have the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, right? These are the four fundamental levels or steps in the yoga ladder, right? So Karma Yoga is a basic thing, inferior. Then after that is superior is Jnana Yoga. Then more superior is Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and finally comes the Bhakti Yoga, right? So the Jnanis actually they think that no, the Brahman is absolute. There's nothing beyond that. Then yogis actually meditate upon the Paramatma form. The Paramatma form of the Lord is a localized form. It is considered as a forehand form of the Lord, actually, of the Vishnu form. No, and then the yogis meditate on this form, who are Ashtanga yogis, etc. They meditate on this form of the Lord. If the yogis come in association with the devotees, then actually they change, they upgrade their goal from Paramatma to Bhagavan. So Paramatma goal actually is mostly an intermediate stage. Actually, it is not the perfect. Actually, they're not the highest. So generally, the yogis, Ashtanga yogis, will go to the higher planets like Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka. No? They actually reach those destinations, and then from there further they do become more and more perfect, and no, then actually they may go to spiritual world, or they may again come down to the lower planetary system. The impersonalist actually merges with the Brahmajyoti finally, right? And the Bhagavan are Bhaktas, right? The Bhaktas or devotees actually they are the by the process of devotional service they realize Bhagavan, absolute truth, in the form of person. Okay, so everything is clear, devotees. You can move to the next paragraph. Somebody can explain this one. So yeah, we discussed, but I think somebody can please explain it. There's nothing to lose. You can just give it a try.
I'll try, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, 1 minute. Huh? What did you gave that explanation for Kshetrajnana, no?
Yes.
What is it, Prabhuji? Let me just write it down. Kshetra is?
Kshetra is the body generally. Kshetra
Body.
or the field of activity. Kshetra. Kshetra, in Sanskrit also it means, no? Kshetra means it's some area or field activity. And
Yes,
in one context, actually in Bhagavad Gita, Kshetra is actually because for the living entity, the field of activity is the body. Right.
Correct.
So in that context, Kshetra is the body, and Kshetratna is actually the one who is the occupier of the body. Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. Kshetratna.
Gna is the
Kshetratna.
occupier.
Occupier or the knower. You can say the knower or the occupier.
Okay. Yeah.
One who knows the body. So there's a shloka now in Bhagavad Gita, Kshetra Kshetratna Yoga. Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, something like that it goes actually. So it basically says that living entity is knower of the one body, but the absolute, no, the Lord actually is knower of all the bodies, right?
Okay.
What is it I just mentioned? Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. I don't know actually. It was Kshetra Kshetratna Yoga. There's a chapter on it. Anybody could find it, the sloka number. This is some other site,
but here the thing is given as Vishnu Purana, Prabhuji, 6.7.61 to 63.
that particular, this is different actually, but I'm just trying to explain the meaning of Kshetra and Kshetratna in this beginning Bhagavad Gita. Kshetratnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. What is the shloka? They are not given here. 13 second shloka, I think. Okay. 13th chapter, second shloka. Yeah, we can just go from here. So, Kshetratnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Kshetra kshetratnayor jnanam yat jnanam madam mama. Right? What does it mean? Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower of all the bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called the knowledge. Kshetratnam, the knower of the field. Right? Here it is mentioned. Kshetratnam. Kshetratna, one who knows the body. And then, Kshetra actually is the field or the body. So now, Kshetra, the field of activity is the body. Right? Kshetratnayo, and the knower of the field. Kshetratna, yes. So basically, the Kshetratna is actually the Jivatma, and Kshetra is the body. So Kshetratna is the one who knows the body, or it's also correct to say that he is the occupier of the body, right? That's the Jivatma. Yes.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay, so it starts with that we living entities are the Kshetrajna, that is the Jivatmas.
Yes.
And that is one. And we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And we are Prabhu. We know only about our body, Kshetrajna. But
Yes.
the Lord knows about everyone.
Yes.
That is one. Then we are affected by entrapped by material contamination, that is by the external energy of the Lord, that is material world, as a result of which we get entrapped, and as you said, we become conditioned. Then
Yes.
such living entities in different ways. Okay. Then the original energy of the Lord, you had said the original energy of the Lord is spiritual, and it is also called the superior energy of the Lord. Correct, Prabhuji? And
Yes.
and it is also given here. It is not different from the supreme. That is the supreme absolute personality of Godhead. That means is an energy, no, Prabhuji. It's a spiritual energy. Is that correct?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not energy. He is energetic. He is the source of the energy.
He's the source of the
So
energy.
yeah, the absolute supreme personality of Godhead, right? Lord Shri Krishna, he's a supreme personality of Godhead. We know that he's a person. He's not energy, right? He is the fountainhead of all energies, or the source of everything. Sarva Karana Karanam. So he's a person, and this supreme personality of Godhead has different kind of energies. The three are the fundamental energies, but there are multifarious energy. Unlimited different kinds of energies are there. So the fundamental three categories are internal energy, or the spiritual energy, or the no that is called the spiritual energy of the Lord, right? So living entities belong to the spiritual energy. And even the spiritual world, right? The spiritual world is also conducted by the internal potency of the Lord, internal energy of the Lord, the entire spiritual world. Then the marginal and external energy is the material energy, or the material world is conducted by the material energy. So these are the two fundamental energies of the Lord.
Yes, Prabhuji. That okay. And one sec. That means the supreme personality of Godhead is a person. He's the source of all energies, and the internal energy is called the spiritual energy, no, Prabhuji.
Yes.
And we are called the marginal energy of the Lord, even though we are part and parcels of the Lord,
Yes.
qualitatively being one with the Lord, but having come into this earth, to this material world, we are affected by this inferior energy of the Lord called material energy. And thereby,
Yes.
we are called the marginal energy of the Lord. That is, you use the word Tadastha Shakti.
Yes.
That
So
is,
what is
we
the
are
analogy? There's an,
that is we are on this thing, Prabhuji, seashore.
yes.
Tada is the boundary, no? Tada
Hmm.
Shakti. And that is, the amount depends on to what extent we are affected by the material energy of the Lord.
Yes.
I think
So
that's what.
Tadasa Shakti, so what the example of shore means, the shore sometimes is under the influence of the land, and sometimes it is under the influence of water, right? So
Yes.
similarly, the Jivatma, when it is in the conditioned stage, or when it is in the marginal energy position, sometimes he is under the influence of the material nature, and sometimes it's under the influence of spiritual nature. But the living entity is actually part of the spiritual nature, right?
Yes.
That's what we discussed. No? We are actually part and parcel of Supreme Lord. So actually, the living entities are spiritual energies only. But
Yes.
temporarily, when we are in the material world, we are actually subjected under by the material energy, which is inferior. Okay, so that actually say Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durattaya Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante Maya Medam Tarantite. So what Krishna is saying, that this Devi Esha Gunamayi, right? This material energy of mind, right, which consisting of three modes of material nature, Sattva, Raja, and Tamo, right? Devi Esha Gunamayi. Guna is the three gunas. Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durattaya. So the question would be, na, like, how it is possible that the living entity, who is the superior energy of the Lord, how it can be subjected under the material energy, which is inferior? That question is normally logical to ask. So here actually the Krishna Lord is indirectly explaining this, saying that though it is the inferior energy, it is my energy. That is also my energy, and it is by the desire of the Lord that Lord has created the material energy for a particular purpose, right? And the loss of the material nature is also actually given by the Lord. So in that condition, the living entity becomes temporarily influenced by the inferior material energy, though it is superior. But as soon as the living entity takes shelter of the spiritual energy or the Supreme Lord, immediately he becomes free from the clutches of the material energy. That's what Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya. Krishna is saying that it is my energy, and it's Duratya. It's unsurmountable actually. Nobody can pass it by their own endeavor or by their own energy. But what is it? Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya Mam Eva Ye Prabhadyante. Mayam Edam Tarantide. Mam Eva Ye Prabhadyante. So, but whoever actually surrenders unto me, Prabhadyante means no, take shelter of the Lord. Mam eva ye prabhadyante maya medam tarantire. So one who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord or the spiritual energy of the Lord, for them they can overcome. So that is the fundamental problem here actually, which actually see this externally it may look at dry philosophy, but I think when you try to understand more and more deeper, when you contemplate on this more and more, then actually we will understand that how we are becoming bewildered and illusioned in the material world. Because generally we don't think about it. No? When we are completely under the control of Maya, then actually we cannot even really think that actually we are being conditioned, we are under this, we just act in instinct. Most of the people in the material world, they behave according to the instinct, right? They don't think beyond a particular point. But we have to understand that because of this forgetful nature, this Maya has the two potencies called Avaranatmika Shakti and Prakshagatmika Shakti. So one is the covering potency and one is the throwing potency, right? So by these two potencies, the Maya keeps the living entity under perpetual, in what you call forgetfulness of his original living identity. But when the living entity takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, it takes up the process of devotional service, or it takes up any activity like chanting, then gradually he becomes free from the clutches of Maya. So like the example is given, no, like wherever there is sun, there cannot be any darkness. Right? That example, that actually there's a sloka, no? What is that actually? Krishna Surya Sama, jahan Krishna ho, like something like that. No, there Maya Maya doesn't have no adhikar, something like that. So light, whenever there is sunlight or sun, the darkness cannot exist in that place. No. Similarly, when one surrenders to the Lord and then becomes enlightened, then actually he becomes free from the illusion which is subject to in the material world. So most of the time we are all, even though we are trying to become devotees, still we actually are under the influence of material nature, material energy only. That is why, though we understand the philosophy, we discuss it in the class, but as soon as we go out of the class or become free from the association of devotees, then immediately we again fall back to the illusion stage. That no, we act in our own old ways, right? We forget of all these things. Theory is one, practice is different, right? Like that we behave. So that is because of the influence of the Maya is very strong, and we have to undergo a lot of purification, right, to become get out of the clutches of the Maya, right? So the liberation, so-called liberation, is the stage where actually we become free from the control of the Maya. We raise beyond the three modes of material nature. But liberation necessarily doesn't mean that we attain Krishna Prema. Liberation can just mean that no, you can be attain impersonal liberation actually, right? You can merge into Brahman. But attaining the lotus feet of the Lord or the service of Supreme Lord is actually is the ultimate goal of life, right? And getting the love of Godhead. So yeah, so we have to try to connect the philosophical point, right, to the practical application in our life, or I at least actually try from the analytical perspective. When you try to understand why I'm not able to practice Krishna consciousness, why I'm struggling so much, then we should try to understand what is the philosophy, like in the sense how things are working, right? How actually different energies of the Lord are, how in the material world, how the Maya is actually keeping people under her influence, right, and not allowing her to go back. The Maya actually is designed in such a way that unless the living entity is completely purified and frustrated, with the material energy, is completely convinced that this is not my place, and he is having full faith in Krishna. Till that time, Maya will not let us go. She will keep on testing us. No, it is not that by fluke or by just some luck or something. No, we can escape. That is not possible actually. So Maya really tests, and unless until we are really fit to enter into the spiritual world, we attain the qualities of the inhabitants of the spiritual world, we cannot go there. So first step is actually to come out of the illusion, right? So that for that actually we need to follow the devotional service process. Everything is given there, right? And then gradually we become more and more freed from the clutches. Okay, any questions on that? What is?
Yes, Prabhuji, 1 minute. Devotional service. Prabhuji, I'm sorry, it's a basic question. When you speak about the Tadastha Shakti, no? That is, you are on the shore and you decide whether you want to go to the land or towards the water. So the land stands for the material energy, no, Prabhuji, and the water stands for going in the spiritual aspect, is it?
I'm not sure, Mataji. I have not read it somewhere like that. So you can take it either way actually. Maybe I thought it's the other way, because we are actually, see, for example, we are the spiritual energy, right? And
Yes.
temporarily we comes under the influence of material energy, but actually originally we are the spiritual energy. So when the water recedes, then actually we attain our original position, which is actually like the land. I don't know, like this
Okay.
is what I
Yes,
thought.
Prabhuji. Correct. Because we say, no, the entire ocean is our thing. No, we are given this body to cross the ocean.
Yeah, maybe. So this I'm not exactly having any reference actually to tell na, whether the land, whether we are part of the land or not. That is generally given an example like that, but that part I'm not sure, Mataji, which is what.
And then that hoof print,
Yes.
you say, no, Prabhuji, that
Yeah.
amount of water in the hoof print.
Yes.
How do you explain that over here, Prabhuji?
Yeah, so that may not be directly connected to this context actually. So that is a general, see, the material existence is always considered as an ocean. But so we say no Bhavambudhi or Bhavasagara, like that actually, this Vedic scriptures and Sanskrit books, etc. They always refers to the material existence like the ocean. because the ocean is generally considered as unsurmountable. No, nobody can swim the ocean across. So the material existence is like that. It's very difficult to pass. And then sometimes in Chaitanya Charitamrita and other scriptures, examples are given like the crocodiles, etc. No, they are like the Maya impersonal schools. So basically, when you try to cross over this ocean, there are many philosophies which are like crocodiles, etc., which tries to devour you on the path, right? So basically, there are different analogies given like that. And so the material existence is a very it's a vast ocean, and nobody can swim it across. So that is why it is considered as this thing. And people are actually suffering. No, the waves of the material, ocean are tossing the living entity ups and down. No? So basically, it can be considered as a different prarabdhas, the kleshas the living entity undergo. So these are all analogies given. And the one very beautiful example is the example of a boat, right? So that actually we discussed many times. No? That there are every boat actually. See, basically there are different kinds of boat which may be available, right, to cross a lake or a ocean or whatever it is. So, but every boat cannot cross an ocean, right? If it's a small boat, actually, it may not be able to cross, withstand the heavy currents or no, or the storm and other things. So there's a suitable boat which is required actually, which is a very strong ship maybe. Okay, so the different boats are considered to different bodies, kinds of bodies. There are 84 lakh species of bodies available to living entity, right? So there are different boats, different bodies available to the living entity, Jiva, but only when he gets a suitable body of the human body, that only is the one body which is capable of crossing this material existence, but no other body is capable. So we can understand that no, only human being can understand the topics, and in human life only we can actually cross over the material existence or get free from the cycle of birth and death. So that is the example, right? And just getting a boat by itself is not sufficient. What else is required? We need an expert captain who already knows how to navigate the ocean, because the ocean is vast. After some time you don't know which is the direction, nothing, right? It's full darkness sometimes, and then we don't get a sense of any direction. So there's an able captain who has already navigated or who has got the information on how to navigate this ocean. So that captain is the spiritual master.
Spiritual master.
Then also the weather has to be favorable. No, even if these other two things are there, we need a favorable weather. So the scriptural, the Vedic scriptures, right? They are considered as the favorable winds by which actually you can navigate ocean. So these are all the different things now which is actually required to cross the ocean. So that is what actually. So one thing we have all living in it, all human beings already have one thing, which is suitable boat. First condition is already met. Then the other two things, if they is ready to take, they accept a spiritual master and also take shelter of the scriptures, then actually there's a good possibility that he can cross this material existence. And the other one actually is that one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, who is the giver of liberation, the entire material existence, which is like an ocean, will appear like the hoof print of a calf.
Calf,
That is
correct.
sloka is there, param padam yavipatam, right? Natesham. No, that actually plavam, that sloka is there, punya yasho murare. That shloka is what actually we discussed many times. No? It's a very beautiful sloka. Maybe we can again check.
The amount of water present in the hoof print of the calf, it becomes
Yes.
that small.
Yeah.
The entire ocean.
Yeah, that's what actually it looks like that. The material existence which is insurmountable. For a person who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, who is the giver of liberation, this material existence ocean will appear like the water which is contained in the hoof print of a calf.
We'll get the recording, no, Prabhuji, after class when we want.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
So this is a shloka, no, which is also very nice to read and no, now to hear, and yeah, very nice meaning. समाश्रित्ये ये पादपल्लवप्लवं महत्पदं पुण्येषु मुरारे भवाम्बुधिर्वत्स परं परं पदं 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 यद्विपदं न तेषां. That's what this sloka is. समाश्रित्य पादपल्लवप्लवं महत्पदं पुण्येषु मुरारे भवाम्बुधिर्वत्स परं padam padam yad vibadam natesham. So that's what it means actually. So first line actually, samashritaye pada pallava plavam. One was taken shelter of the pallava plavam, no, the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. The pada is foot, and pallava plavam means it's a boat actually. The lotus feet of the Supreme Lord is like a boat. Mahat padam punya yasho murare. Like Supreme Lord Murare is the killer of Mura, right? Actually, he is Supreme Lord Krishna. For him, Bhavambudir Vatsa Padam Param Padam. So for Bhavambudhi, for him, the Bhavambudhi, the material existence will exist like Vatsa is a calf, Padam, right? The foot, Param Padam. Padam Padam Yad Padam Natesham. So the last line is telling about the material world actually. Padam Padam. In material world, every step there is danger actually. Okay, so So let us see the translation. For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Muradhaman, the ocean of material world is like the water contained in a calf's footprint. Their goal is Parampadam, Vaikunta, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger in every step. So that's what actually the meaning is, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
That is a very nice sloka. We can always remember actually this. Okay, so who will want to next explain the next paragraph? Where is the Mataji? Would like to try?
Yes, Prabhuji. Like according to the Vedic instruction, one should understand the constitutional position of living entity, uh, the position of the Lord, and the position of the material energy in their interrelation. So here they are telling we should be able to one should have the knowledge of what is our position and the position of the Lord, and the how they are interrelated. And first of all, one should try to understand the constitutional position of Supreme Lord. And I mean, like constitutional position of the Supreme Lord is he is the Supreme, and he is the enjoyer. He is the controller. Is that point, Prabhuji?
Yeah. Sachidananda form. No, that's what actually is mentioned.
Yeah,
Sat Chit and Anand. So eternal Sat means
eternal,
eternal
blissful, and knowledge. Yeah,
knowledge, and Ananda means blissful.
blissful. Okay. So the Supreme Lord has an eternal, cognizant, blissful body, and his spiritual energy is distributed as eternity, knowledge, and bliss.
Krishna.
Explain it like in bliss, he is the we can see his pleasure potency, and in eternal identity, he can be seen as the cause of everything. I am not able to correlate, connect.
Yeah, so this is a little technical kind of so topic. See, basically, we have to just understand that also the form of the Lord is spiritual, and the
Yeah,
spiritual form of the Lord is, we know that it's Sachidananda, right? It consists of Sat, Chit, and
so,
Anand. Sat means
yeah,
eternity, Chit means knowledge, and Ananda means
knowledge
bliss.
and bliss.
Yes. So this spiritual energy is something at the moment, because we are conditioned soul, we are under the material energy. We cannot completely comprehend or understand the spiritual nature of the Lord, because it's difficult, because in the condition change. So when we become purified, we will actually really comprehend these things. Otherwise we can just read and try to understand superficially. We cannot really go into the depth or really realize what actually is mentioned fully. Okay, we can just try to understand some to some extent, because the spiritual topic, spiritual things, no, cannot be explained even by the material words. The material, because material world we only talk about mundane things, right? Material things, and the vocabulary which is available in this material world is only capable of understanding and describing material things. And the spiritual potency and spiritual nature is beyond our comprehension and beyond our ability to understand or describe it. Okay, but essentially we can understand that eternity means, no, we know that the Lord actually is eternal, right? Because living entities are just opposite. They're temporary, they have a short period of time. But the Supreme Lord is eternal means, no, he doesn't have any beginning or end. He's always there, no. Anadir Adir Govinda, right? No beginning or end. Cognizant actually. So we have, the living entities are having very limited knowledge, right? Our knowledge is extremely limited. So that's what, no, like a living entity Jivatma has knowledge about his own body, or maybe not to some superficial no understanding of the material nature to some extent. But the Supreme Lord actually is cognizant of everything. He knows everything which is happening in every body. He understand, no, he is actually knowing everything which is there in the existence, right? And the blissful body is Ananda, right? So in material world people are always suffering. We are always having Nirananda, no, like we always have different suffering, miseries. But then the Lord actually is always blissful. There is no question of, Vaikunta itself means that there is no Kunta, right? The spiritual world. So these things are exactly opposite of the living entity, material living entities. We exhibit, or we understand whatever qualities our existence, our body is having, right? The Lord's body is completely different. We have to understand. It's like exactly similar, exactly the opposite of it. So, that way we can understand. But actually, exactly to really comprehend what these things means, it's difficult for us at this point of time. Nataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. So yeah. In his blissful he can found pleasure potency. So basically, it's in his blissful identity can be found the pleasure potency, and in his eternal identity, he can see
Eternal.
the cause of everything. So when he's eternal, that means that he is the cause of everything, right? Something which is eternally existing and nothing existed beyond that means that he is the cause of everything. So that is his line. Second part, his eternal identity can be seen as the cause of everything because he's eternal. He is the cause of everything, and he because he is having the pleasure potency, his identity or his existence is also blissful.
Yes.
Then he is supreme knowledge, where I think there is nothing. Indeed, the word Krishna indicates supreme knowledge. In other words, supreme personality Krishna is the reservoir of all knowledge. Now, he is the reservoir of all knowledge, pleasure and eternity. All these three qualities exist in him. And then because we are part and parcel of him, all these qualities exist in very small. He is infinite, and we are infinitesimal. These all the qualities of the Lord also is present in us in very small quantity. So the example is given, no, like a gold mine and a small piece of gold, or the ocean, right? And then a drop of ocean,
Droplet of water.
yeah, and the sun and this spark of sunlight.
Yeah.
Then similarly, a huge fire and the spark of the fire. So the example of the living entity becoming marginalized is given an example of a fire. So when there is a huge fire, sometimes the small spark of fire will come out of it, no? And then as soon as the spark falls on the ground, it becomes extinguished, right? So similarly, the living entity, actually we are a fire, we are part of Supreme Lord, who is also nature of fire. But when we come to the material world, actually that potency is actually covered. That in Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned, no, that the different levels of covering, right? Like the fire which is covered by smoke, the
Yeah.
the embryo
Dust.
which is covering the, yeah, the child, right? And the
Yeah.
dust, mirror which is covered by the dust.
God of
So
the
the
dust.
like the different levels of covering the living entity. Those we are spiritual energies, but actually when we come to the material world, the spark, the spark actually is covered by different levels of covering based on how much how much the living entity has degraded. Because in the human form of life, the covering is a minimal. It is just like the fire which is covered by smoke. The which can be easily, we can again easily bring back the fire. If it is covered by smoke. And the next level of covering is the dust, right? The mirror which is covered by dust, okay, which also can be cleaned. And then the more gross covering is, so for example, the first one is like the living human being, the second is the animals, and the third actually the embryo which is covered, covering the child womb, right? Sorry, the womb, and the womb which is covering
The
the embryo,
embryo.
that
Embryo.
actually is like the trees. The trees actually are has very less consciousness. So when some living entity degrades more, then they become trees and those kind of existence. So based on different level of covering, so much actually the living entity is covered according to the karma, and they are different reactions. They take different bodies according to that.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Mm, yeah, the fundamental things we have to understand. So basically, this paragraph is mostly talking about the nature of the Lord, Supreme Lord, right? Sachidananda, the form of the Lord. The conditioned soul is the marginal potency overpowered by the external potency. However, when the marginal potency comes under jurisdiction of spiritual potency, it becomes a law of God. So that's what. Now here actually, like the shloka in Bhagavad Gita is a Devi Esha Gunamai. So not that. Mahatmanastu Mampartha Devim Prakriti Mashita. Right. So whoever actually takes shelter of the Supreme Lord or spiritual energy, they become eligible actually, or they start their progress. Become purified, and then gradually, they become eligible to go back. We will enjoy six kinds of opulence that we know, right? Yes, yes. Mundaka Upanishad, stated that the bird. So the two birds sitting example, somebody can tell? Two birds sitting on a tree. Satyamadaji knows it.
Chetan Prabhu is not there, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I think he left actually.
Okay, because
Uh,
last time.
I think
That
generally 5:30. I think he leaves. I think he is attending the Kannada Bhakti Vriksha, I think some other program.
okay. Then uh, this is about the Paramatma feature, Prabhuji, of the Lord, is explained in the form of two birds which are sitting on the tree. One bird is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other bird is just witnessing the activity of the first bird which is eating. And this one,
So
and
which are the
only
two
when
birds?
the one Jivatma and Paramatma, no, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And
So which is Jivatma and which is Paramatma of the two
the
birds?
one eating the fruit is the Jivatma, and the
Yes.
Paramatma is the one who's only witnessing. And they say
Yes.
the moment the Jivatma looks towards the Lord, towards Paramatma, then we can get freed from all our anxieties. And here the position is given, no, Prabhuji. As you had said earlier also, and Chitra Mataji had said, we are the very, very small particle. Even though the Lord is infinite, and we are the infinitesimal living entity, a very small, even though we are spiritual, superior energy of the Lord, but qualitatively, but of a uh, very small point. And because we have come into this material world, and we have been subject to the three modes of material nature, and we have been in the material miseries. And this is compared to the bird eating the fruit.
Mm.
And then after that, but if we turn towards the Lord, then slowly the Supreme Lord, who is always the master of all energies, and same thing, Prabhuji. Qualitatively, one with the Supreme Lord, the living entity has a tendency. We have a tendency to lord over material nature, that based on our sattva, raja, or tamaguna, no, Prabhuji.
Mm-hmm.
Based on which we get controlled by the material nature.
Yes.
That's what you said. By external energy of the Lord is the material nature, Maya, and that affects us. So even though we are the uh, superior energy of the Lord, even though we are that, the internal energy of the Lord, but once we come over here, which we have come by our own free will, we are affected by this material energy, the external energy, Maya of the Lord, and then depends on which mode of material nature we are, or the combinations. I mean, it's how we turn this way or that way.
Yes.
That's how I understood it, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, very nice. Anybody has questions? In Bhagavad Gita, so this sloka 7.4 to 5, it actually gives, basically it's a reference where the Lord actually, we can understand the energies of the Lord. I think I've taken this session some time back, long back, where actually we talked about different energies, no? So that shloka is that Bhumi Rabo Nalo Vayu Gammano Buddhirevacha, right? Ahankara Vidyam Binna Prakriti. So basically he's talking about para and apara energy. So para and apara. So para energy is the superior energy, spiritual energy, and apara prakriti is like material energy. So no, there actually the reference is there. So that's why that is given here. Okay, so anybody has any questions? Chitra Mataji or Nivedita Mataji? Is it clear everything here?
Yes.
Understanding, Prabhuji, slowly.
Mm. Yeah, we'll have to keep reading, then no, we will understand. But these things are like, if you don't try to correlate, not able to correlate, then it become like a dry philosophy.
Yeah,
In the
we
sense, no,
can't, yes.
because it's something we are hearing, but no, we are not able to relate. That kind of situation will come. So that's why we should maybe, if we don't understand first time, I mean it's difficult for first time maybe to understand. So that's why. But this is always Prabhupada repeats. This is the essence and crux of the different aspects of the philosophy, right? Like who are we? Who is Supreme Lord? What is the relationship between us? Why are we suffering? How can we go back? What are the different understandings? See the philosophical things, right? And then this Maya, the philosophy is always something which actually Prabhupada keeps on mentioning, because Mayavad philosophy is more rampant, in the Kali Yuga. And even if somebody is interested in spirituality, most of them actually goes in this path of Mayavad philosophy. And Mayavad philosophy, Prabhupada is very very critical. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also told Mayavad Bhasha Sune, right? Sarvanash. So basically, over Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told that whoever hears this Mayavad philosophy, they are completely ruined. Actually, the spiritual life is completely ruined, because it is like a jackal in a coat of a sheep, something like that actually. So apparently people we get an impression that okay, this is the right path, but actually it is tricking you to some other path actually, like a wrong path. So people after many bhunam janmanam ande jnanavan mam prapadyante vasudeva sarvamiri samahatma sudurlabha. But also Krishna is mentioning that like manushyanam sahasreshu kashchid, like that shloka is it out of thousands of men, hardly one is interested in the spiritual topic, right? So and then that rare person who's interested in spiritual topic, he is not interested in the right understanding. He's interested in Maya or the philosophy. So even after so many birds, somebody takes an interest in spirituality, and they are actually get misled actually by Maya or the philosophy. Their chance of going back to Godhead is actually blocked by going by the Maya or the philosophy. That is why actually it is very kind of it's suicidal. It is the last snare of Maya. They say that Maya or the philosophy is the last snare of Maya, because they have overcome many other things, obstacles in the path, but they got caught up by the last snare of Maya, which actually is the Mayavada philosophy. See, Mayavada philosophy has an path by which actually it can make the living entity again fall down to the material existence, because they are actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Mayavada people, Mayavadis are Aparadhis at the lotus feet of Krishna, because they say that see the Mayavada philosophy. So somebody can tell me what is their understanding of Mayavada philosophy? I want to hear.
Pada means path. Correct, Prabhuji? Mayavada. Path
Yeah.
of illusion.
Yes. But what is Mayavada philosophy?
Mayavada philosophy is that they believe only in the, they feel that they are God.
Yes.
They reach liberation stage when they know that we are not this body, but we are the soul.
Mm.
That is one part which you realize.
Mm.
And then all our miseries are due to the material body, due to the three modes of material nature. That also they think.
Mm.
And their ultimate goal is to come out of this bodily platform, to come out of these threefold miseries of life, to come out of it, Prabhuji,
Mm.
and be only the soul. And for them, they are God, that soul. There is no other God.
Yes.
That's how I have understood it, Prabhuji.
Yes. When they say they are the God, no? So that part, somebody, Niveda Mataji, can you explain that part?
So basically, like as Mataji told, like they feel like there is no difference between Supreme and Atma and Paramatma.
Mm.
Like we are also the Paramatma himself, because we are coming from Paramatma. So they will not think we are the part and parcel, but we are equal to God. And they will, the Mayavadis, they will not ready to, they will not accept that service attitude towards Lord and all.
Mm.
Yeah, they only meditate on that Jyoti, Brahma Jyoti, and they want to merge into that. Uh, because that is the first stage, whatever we studied, right? That is the
Yeah.
Brahman realization stage. They will win that, and
So
Yes.
then, Prabhuji, that means the Mayavadas, for them, it is only the difference there is to body and soul. And miseries are due to this three modes of material nature.
Mm.
Then we come out of it, and then we become only the Atma. Correct?
Mm.
Then,
So
and
the thing is,
that there is no Paramatma feature. They don't see the Paramatma feature, no, Prabhuji.
yeah, that's what actually. So the difference are very subtle. See, so they understand, as you mentioned, right? They understand that what is Jivatma, and they also understand there is a Paramatma. Okay. Or the supreme Brahman, for example, Paramatma they may understand as Brahman. Okay, some
Okay.
superior energy. But the thing is that the difference is like there are only two. There are two main things actually in the difference. Okay, one is that Mayavadis are all also the Advaitavadis, right? So Advaitavadis means, so that the first difference is that they are Advaitavadis. That means that Advaita, no, they think that there is no difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. They're exactly the same, equal. Okay, so that is the first difference. So that's why it's called Advaita. There's no difference. Dvaita means two, Advaita means non-different. So that is the first difference. So they think that Jivatma and Paramatma are exactly the same, or they're same level. The second thing is that they are called Mayavadis because they think that, so they believe that they are God actually. So because Jivatma and Paramatma is same, right? They're saying. So naturally, the next conclusion is that I am also God, because Paramatma is God actually, right? And then I am also, there's no difference between God and me, so I am also God. Then what is happening now? Temporarily, I am under the influence of Maya. I am God, but because now I am under the influence of Maya, I have forgotten that I am God, or I don't have the potencies of the God. So that is why they are called Mayavadis. So they are called Mayavadis because they think that the God can come under the influence of Maya, because they are saying we are God. and then they are saying God is under the influence of Maya. So that is so according to the logical and argument, it is not possible, because see, Maya is superior, no, Maya is inferior to the Lord, right? Maya is the Lord's energy. How it is possible that the energy of the Lord can control or cover the Lord? That is not possible, right? So that is how we defeat Maya philosophy. So they are called Mayavadis because they think that God comes under the influence of Maya. And second thing is that they think that the Lord and the living entity, the Jivatma and Paramatma are equal. So these are the two fundamental flaws. And they are called Abaradis at the lotus feet of the Lord because they think like this, that God can be coming under the influence of Maya. That's why they are known as, they are actually kind of considered as actually Aparathis, or committing sin, or sinful mentality towards the Lord.
Prabhuji, please share the recording, Prabhuji, of today's class.
Yes, Mandaji, I'm always upload it in the YouTube, no? So
Okay.
you have the page, maybe I'll share again.
That means?
There's a YouTube, there's one channel for the Bhakti Vriksha I created long back. So,
Okay, that I don't know,
all the
Prabhuji.
sessions, are available there. So after the session I upload, and then, anytime somebody misses the class, I think they can go through it.
Oh, fantastic. Prabhuji will put that in the group, no, Prabhuji, Skype group.
I'll put it here.
Oh, I don't know that. Fantastic, Prabhuji,
I'm,
because I
yeah.
understood whatever you've spoken now,
Mm-hmm.
but one has to listen to it again and take down those points, no? To
Yes, Mataji, wait a
remember.
little bit, yeah. So when we read Bhagavad Gita, these topics comes again and again. Prabhupada actually repeatedly talks about this in the purports. And then that's why he is giving so much of importance of Mayavada, because many people are getting bewildered actually by this philosophy. And then they are actually misled in the understanding of the philosophy. So that's why Prabhupada actually, he's again and again, every time, he actually always again reiterates. Because generally when we start the devotional service, in the beginning, we will always think why Prabhupada actually is talking about Mayavad again and again. Even the sloka is not telling anything about it. Why actually, he's talking about it? Because this is actually the fact that, this is Maya's one of the weapon, this philosophy of Mayavad. Because Lord Shiva told Parvati in Padma Purana, it is mentioned that in Kali Yuga, I will appear as a Brahmana. And then I will asat shastram Mayavadam, right? He says that I will appear as a Brahmana boy, and then I will spread this false theory of Mayavada to bewilder the atheist. So the people, to attract all the atheistic people, because before Mayavada philosophy, this Buddhist philosophy was there, right? So that actually part is we have discussed earlier. But essentially, Lord Shiva says that this Mayavada philosophy is purposefully propagated to bewilder the people who are atheist. So that is actually, so we have to understand that most of the people, if you ask, like somebody says I am spiritual person, like for example, I don't want to give any name, but who are the most famous spiritual people in today's world. So you can see, they whatever they talk, if you hear, they all talk this kind of things only. Like everything is energy, it is universal consciousness, and then we merge into that consciousness. So this is all Mayavada actually. This topic, everything is one, is Mayavada philosophy, like, or Advaita. They say that the sun, they give the example that that the sun is reflected in so many pots, and if the pot is broken, then actually everything is merging into one, right? So something like that actually. So they say that we are all one actually. All living entities are only one conscious. Now we are in different bodies, and when we become liberated, everything merges back into one supreme. All this kind of it's all mostly word jugglery, and some kind of abstract thinking, which is not logical and concrete. Because simple thing is that that basic logic is that an energy cannot exist without a source or energy. There has to be a person, right? And when Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita everywhere that like maya tatam idam sarvam, right? And that actually then aham sarvasya prabhu, right? He's saying that I am the source of everything. Basically he's always referring to him as a person, right? And how can they say that the supreme absolute truth is not a person? Because it's very explicitly mentioning. If you take in Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see the pastimes of Krishna, right? And then he is always exchanging different mellows with his devotees. So how it is that an energy can do that? It's not possible, right? So somehow it is a theory which actually, it's a philosophy which actually is just a bewilder, because it's very rare to find a Vasudeva Bhakta, no? Like it's Sahasranam actually, like there's a sloka in Bhagavatam actually, after so many millions of people, it's hard to find a devotee. So there may be so many so-called spiritualists, but they are all actually not in one way or other, actually they are all bewildered actually, and then they are not on the topmost level, and then they are all just misled into a different path, right? So it's not easy to become a devotee of the Lord. We have to understand. And if you are in the path of devotion service, that's why we should consider it as a most fortunate soul, right? Because not everybody, so many people take into the spiritual path, but no, they're all lost in this forest of philosophies, like earlier mentioned, right? Like crocodiles and other things, no, sharks, who are actually in the, there are different philosophies like given, like the Mayavada philosophy or other philosophy, right? They are all like different sharks and crocodiles who are ready to devour the person. So to cross all these things and come to the topmost level of correct understanding, you have to be really the most fortunate soul. So we should not take it very cheaply. We think, okay, they are also doing devotional ways, we are also doing, there is no different, like that we should not think. By mercy of Acharya, somehow or other, no, we are on the right path and the topmost path of the correct understanding. So that's why we should understand it correctly and accordingly take it up. So sometimes we may think why I should know all these things, right? But it is important to understand when you go more deep.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Now I'm understand. I'm telling you the truth. So many times I've been reading, I've been hearing the classes. At that point, I understand, but later on, just unable to coordinate. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yes, Mataji. So we'll have to keep on reading. That's why it's, they say, every day we should read at least some part, little purport for Prabhupada we have to read. So we will read regularly. Then actually, by mercy of the acharyas, now we can understand it. But also, yeah, to completely understand the spiritual topic, see, this is the philosophical part we are understanding, right? But to understand the spiritual part, it's very difficult actually. Even if you understand the philosophy, the spiritual part actually is something by only by when we become purified, we'll understand completely. For example, now what actually is the Lord's pastime? Why Lord actually does in the certain things? What happens in the spiritual world? These things we can't really comprehend. We can just understand as some small glimpses or some pastime, but actually the real intent or how exactly what it means, that realization it's very difficult to come by unless until we become really purified and the Lord actually shows His mercy. Till that time, we cannot understand those things. Yeah, but definitely we should keep endeavoring, and then by serving the Vaishnavas, by their mercy, we can understand at some point of time.
Thank you.
Okay, now I think we most of the people have left. I think. Yeah. Anyway, to begin with, only we had less people. Okay. So, anybody has any questions more further? Chitra Mataji, do you have any questions?
No, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very interesting.
Yes, Mataji. So, like we have to keep reading, Mataji. So, first time, no, we may understand, but I think the more we read, no, the more actually it will become clearer. So that's why we should keep reading Srila Prabhupada books, Bhagavad Gita, even Bhagavatam. So I just want to check, Chitra Mataji, do you have Bhagavatam already?
Not by ISKCON, Prabhuji, but I have a Bhagavatam.
Okay, I think you should consider
It's a
buying.
concise. It's a concise one.
Hmm.
Just a fat one book.
Okay. So we were discussing the past 1 month. We were having this Bhadra Purnima is over. No? Bhadra Purnima is over. When it is? So the last month, one month now, we were discussing about it, Mataji. So as part of the Bhadra Purnima, no, so we I think distributed around 45 Srimad Bhagavatams in different all Bhakti Vriksha leaders. So if somebody is not having Bhagavatam, it's a good time to take it. Okay, and yeah, for ourselves as well as now, if you want to distribute or donate to somebody, that also is a good opportunity. Okay, so maybe if you want to know more, you can talk. But I think Bhagavatam is very, very important after once you read Bhagavad Gita, no? Because to develop bhakti, right, we need Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita is more like philosophy. To understand all this, whatever today's topic is mostly like, you can tell it's Bhagavad Gita topics. But beyond that, actually, to really develop the devotional attitude towards the Lord, we have to understand the Lord more. Is different activities, pastimes. From that, actually, Bhagavatam is the most most what do you call exalted book actually. From a spiritual perspective. Yeah, so you can think about it, Mataji, and then I think it will be definitely important to buy it.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, good. So, any questions are there? Otherwise, we can chant. Example: what is the living itself to threefold miseries? As per Mundaga. Okay. Application in your everyday life. What are the forms of the Lord you associate with it? Which do you relate it to most, and why? So maybe we can talk briefly about it. So everybody can tell, no, which form of the Lord they used to worship before coming to Krishna consciousness, and why.
Prabhuji, I used to worship Venkatramana.
That's the Vishnu form only,
Balaji.
no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So any particular reason that you were worshipping
I
Venkataraman?
don't know, Prabhuji. I really didn't know. I'm telling you the truth, Prabhuji. I never knew the difference between Shiva and Vishnu. Being studying in a westernized whatever.
Mm.
All I knew was I had to have the namam straight, not across. I knew I was that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only after now that, that it's Vishnu form.
Mm-hmm.
And then we used to go to Tirupati, Prabhuji.
So that may be because of your parents, like
Yes,
upbringing. Okay.
upbringing. Yes, that's what it is. And of course, it was always asking for something. Once you pass in the exam, I'll come. All
Mm-hmm.
that to
Okay.
tell you. Yeah. So that's all.
Okay. What about Chitramandaji?
Same Prabhuji, because we consider the Venkatramana, Lord Venkatramana as Vishnu.
Mm-hmm.
So, like all of the gods, we just don't differentiate. And we all used to go together, Satya Mataji, myself, we used to go to Tirupati and all. We used to walk up the steps and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have, we have what is known as Kuldev.
Yeah.
We have a group, different Kuldevs,
Mm-hmm.
So mine is Ramnathi. So we have one, and we have a family deity. Uh, we have so many other things. Our Ishtadev, our Kuldev, and one is our family deity.
Mm-hmm.
Our family deity for the KPKs, we are KPKs. They are, what is that? I'll tell you. Krishna only.
Mm-hmm.
Santana Gopal Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Santana Gopal Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
And it is in Kerala, what is the place that is moved from Karnataka to Kerala? Manjeshwar.
Mm-hmm.
It is in the Manjeshwar temple,
Okay. Okay.
our family deity.
Manjeshwar temple is Lord Shiva. No.
No, not Lord Shiva, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Vishnu only.
For us, it is Lakshmi Narsim Prabhuji, my husband's side.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we have all one Kuldev, Prabhuji. And our main temples are all in Goa.
Goa,
Oh.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
So after our marriage and our children's marriage, we take them there once. So
Mm-hmm.
that is what is the parampara of our.
Mm.
We are GSBs, no Prabhuji. So we have
That's
a
right.
separate. As
Mm.
I told Prabhuji, we also belong to the Gaudiya only. We are,
Gauda Saraswata Brahmins, no?
yeah, we are
Yes, Prabhuji.
GSBs, and we are also called Madhava Brahmins. So it is the
Okay.
same lineage, but somewhere down the line, our one of the gurus,
Mm-hmm.
formed what is known as Kashi Mat.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of mats. There are, I don't know about the names of the other mats, but ours is Kashi Mat.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a long line of gurujis, and our guruji prays only to Ved Vyas.
Mm-hmm.
Their deity is Ved Vyas.
Okay.
Our guru's deity,
Mm-hmm.
Ved Vyas, and we have it in. What is that? Not only in Kashi, we have it in some other place.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name, Prabhuji. We go there every time. Yes.
Badrinath, huh? Mm.
No. Kashi is one, and the other one is we get prasad and all from there. I forget Vrindavan, not Vrindavan. What is the other place near Kashi, Prabhuji? I forget.
Near Kashi, huh?
Ah, on the banks of the Ganga.
Haridwar, huh? Haridwar.
Haridwar, yes.
Yeah.
Correct, Haridwar. We
Mm-hmm.
have a big mutt there, Haridwar, on the banks of the Ganga.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a Vyas Mandir, a permanent Vyas Mandir there, and there is our Swamiji's residence, and we have a mutt there, Kashi Mutt.
We
Mm-hmm.
went there when mummy died, no, Chitra? We all
Yeah,
went,
correct.
no?
For
Correct.
the immersion of the ashes, na?
Immersion, yeah.
Okay, good. So that's why you already have some kind of natural attraction to the topics, right? So the fact that you might have taken birth in such a family, or such a lineage, maybe because of that. But I think this some of the Gauda Saraswata Brahmin they eat fish. I think, no.
We because there is a history behind Prabhuji if you have the time. So because we are actually, our base is Kashmir. And
Is it?
and when the Mughals came, we were pushed. So we went to Bengal.
Mm-hmm.
So there are gods as well Brahmins in Bengal also.
Mm-hmm.
They are also fish eaters because of the banks of the river.
Yeah, yeah.
Then from there, a part of them came to Goa, and there the
Mm-hmm.
Portuguese followed us. So
Mm-hmm.
from Goa, we came down to coastal Mangalore.
Mm-hmm.
So we are actually supposed to be from Mangalore. Actually, it means not supposed to be. We are from Kashmir. We have been
Mm-hmm.
pushed down. That's what history told us. And
Mm-hmm.
because our ancient had nowhere to go, we settled on the banks of the river, and that was
Mm-hmm.
the only food available.
Mm-hmm.
So only two Brahmins eat fish.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, um, um, most of them don't eat, but some who eat only fish. And
Mm-hmm.
Bengali Brahmins also have fish, but
Yeah, I know.
they have fish in the temples, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
On any festival day or anything, we don't. But we are mostly automatically we are become vegetarians.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
our
So
parents never used to eat, so like that, But out of necessity, they were eating. Otherwise,
yeah,
we are vegetarians.
that's okay. So for emergency, it is okay for some time, but after that, situation has changed now.
Yes,
So now we can stop it. Hey, that's good actually. Good to
that's
know
our
about this.
history. Our
Thanks,
Satya
Mataji.
his background.
Yeah, yeah, nice to know, Mataji. Nivedha Mataji, would you like to say something? Or which Lord used to worship and why before?
Prabhuji, I used to, wherever the Lord I see, I used to worship. And not only the Hindus gods, even Muslim
Mm.
gods, I used to go to their mosque and I used to pray. And I went to church also, Prabhuji.
Okay, okay.
So, and in our home, we have Shiva, and because we are for Lingayats, Hindu Lingayats,
Mm.
we follow Shiva. And the Durga Puja, during Dasra, we do 9 days Durga Puja. And during the Deepavali, we celebrate that Lakshmi Puja and all we do. And I, in our house, like beside house, Balaji temple was there. I used to, every week I used to go there. Hanuman every Saturday, Monday,
Okay.
Tuesday, and I used to keep fast for my weekly twice from school times only. And
Mm.
sometimes in during college days, I beside my college only there was Satya Sai, that some the group of team they used to do these bhajans and all. I used to join there them also.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, so everything all are one kind of thing.
Yes, yes,
Kind of
Prabhuji.
it's my
Correct. And when
No,
I
Prabhuji. She's spiritually inclined, Prabhuji.
correct, correct. No, that's because maybe not having the sufficient knowledge. No, like it is
Yeah.
natural that because generally that modern tendency is that no, like everything is okay. We should be equal to all. No, we should not discriminate. That kind of thing is that so all gods are same. Actually, that is true only in one way. So that actually kind of yeah, it is not very uncommon actually to
And it
spiritual.
depends on the surroundings also, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we went to a convent, all our convents had a small chapel. We used to
Mm.
go.
Correct.
We used
I
to go
used to go
there
to
and we used to
chapel.
kneel down and we used to pray and light candles and we used to do that because of their school.
Yeah, yeah.
So it happens because of the surroundings.
Right,
So
right. It depends on yeah, it depends on your friends and everything. So
yeah,
even I used to go to church actually. I also studied in convent kind of school.
yes,
So yeah, there's nothing wrong as such. Only thing is that we don't have proper knowledge, no? Like little knowledge here and there, something we just because of some spiritual inclination we are doing it actually, whatever they're following, others are following because we don't have a clear idea what actually it is. So, but nevertheless, yeah. So that's what actually, unless until we have some spiritual past credit inclination, right? It's also difficult to take up the process. But at the same time,
Prabhuji,
hmm,
I used to go to church every afternoon in school days. Both my
hmm,
friends were Christians. So much so they tell me now, because of me, they used to come. I used to force them, it seems,
hmm,
like that.
yeah,
My
yes,
God.
Manoj.
But we didn't have that spiritual guidance, Prabhuji, like how
Yeah,
the Christians do.
yes, yes.
That's really lacking for us.
Correct. Yeah, that's what actually. That is why we disintegrated and no, we lost all the piety, right? Because in
Yes.
the olden times, people were naturally pious, and then they were following everything. They used to learn, scriptural things. It was part of the culture, right? But after all these Mughals and British and all this invasion, everybody tried to destroy our this thing, tradition and culture, right? So now we generally the modern people think that they are shameful to tell. They think that okay, all these things are because others told that these are mythology. They are actually shameful to tell about their beliefs. That situation they created actually. So
One
anyway,
more thing, Prabhuji, like what I like after I used to go with everyone. What I observed is like the Muslims, they were very strict to the rules and regulation. That prayers they never missed, even
mm,
whatever it is. Even in school, even though it is an exam, they used to just walk out and do complete their prayers and used to come. They
mm,
were so strict about their prayers and all. And even Christians, they at least Sundays, whatever they used to, everyone used to go and pray. But I didn't see that in Hindus. We all were distributed like anything in all different gods, and we
yeah,
don't know actually what we are doing.
correct. That is
Uh,
what actually we don't have proper understanding of the things.
correct,
There's
correct.
no proper learning knowledge. It's more. It has just become a tradition, no? Like
Tradition.
that people are following without any proper understanding. That's what has happened over the period of time.
Yeah, and if you perform puja at home also, it is something like only ladies they will be doing. Okay, let them do for
Yeah, yeah,
their satisfaction, enjoyment. Let them do that. They wear, they cook and all. It is not like that. It is there is no sort of knowledge what we are doing, why we are doing, and all. Nothing like that. Just we are following. I think Brahmins may follow something, but I didn't got any opportunity to know about those Brahmins.
yeah. See,
But
even
yeah.
Brahmins also, like over the period, they don't know, like everything became a tradition. No, it is
Yeah.
just there in the family. So we do this, samskaras like banana, without
Mm.
really knowing. It's only symbolically doing. No, there is no because the original idea of no banana and all is to become a brahmachari, right? To study the Vedic scriptures. That was the idea, but that is not happening now. Only some part of the remnants of the culture is there, but without really knowing why we do. So that is happened actually. Hardly
Yeah,
anybody knows.
yeah, but still, this I really even I want to see some changes here. Why, like Muslims, they definitely they will stick to their rules. Even in like office hours also, they everyone they will just go to the rooms and they will finish their prayers and come back. They never hesitate. They will never like think what other people and things and all nothing. But we will not follow anything. We people, we Hindus, neither here nor there. We are nowhere.
Yes, Manaji, that is true.
That's
Again,
something we should also be like doing something so that we unite at least like that. Because something should be in the unity. They follow some Ramjan, some fasting. Yeah, definitely everyone will follow. In our Hindus, no. Ekadashi, some people will follow Ekadashi. Some will do Sankash Chaturthi. Some people will fast for that for Durga. We don't know. We are not so much channelized, I think. We also should have one. So, okay, do this chanting at least whatever we know, right? One round chanting this time. That should come, I think. Yeah.
Yes, yes, Manaji.
And we should
Prabhuji,
not hesitate doing it, that one, in front of anyone.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, like for putting the nama also, I am hesitated because being lingas from with the vibhuti, I if I put the thousand questions will arise from others. Why
Mhm.
you change the gods and all? You don't stick to, don't trust in your God also, like that. People used to tell.
Yes. So it all depends on how much strong our faith is now. So we go through different stages in the process of spirituality, right? And when we are finally convinced completely, then I think we'll not worry about others. So,
We'll not
some
worry about others. I agree, Prabhuji and Ruma in that time, but I wanted like it should be the same like how they are doing, not like comparing and all. Somewhere we all should unite. So there will be definitely there will be some changes will come.
so everything ultimately we have to understand everything is happening as per the will of the Lord, right? In Kali Yuga, there's so many religions will come, so many fractions will come, so many fights will happen. So these are all part of the Kali Yuga. So, but that's why Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is only the hope actually, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told that every town and village, no, his holy name will be chanted, right? So everybody will be believing. So hopefully, that should come soon. Then I think it will happen. But otherwise, it is by material endeavor or by any other political, any other moment or ways, it's difficult to change, the entire thing. People that may not happen actually.
Yeah, that's the reason most of the time, even for the guys I used to tell, like for boys and all, okay, you feel like